And welcome to our joint webinar with DigiCloud, Power Your Work with Google Workspace. Before starting, please mute your mic, and in case you have any questions, you can use the chat or raise your hand. Let me introduce our speakers: Nick, Google Workspace Deployment Specialist in DigiCloud, and Sergi Lopez, our Operations Director Africa in Nubalia. This is the agenda for today. We will start with a quick introduction about Nubalia, and then we will introduce Google Workspace with a live demo at the end of the webinar. Now, my colleague Sergi will be presented.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. First, I would like to introduce Nubalia. Nubalia started in Spain, in Europe, like 10 years ago. And we started as a cloud company, a consultancy company. It was one of the first companies to start working in the cloud, providing services to companies 10 years ago. But we've grown a lot since then because we have now more than 2,000 clients. We are fully working with Google hand-to-hand. We have more than 8,000 professionals working across Europe. And we are working now in 18 countries and expanding. The idea of this webinar is to present ourselves and what Google Workspace can do for you. But we would like to introduce Nubalia as a partner, Google Partner Expertise, and what we do in Nubalia. We have, specializations in many areas like infrastructure, machine learning, development. All those certifications are possible because our team of professionals can develop those things. And in order to achieve those, you need to work really hard with companies and provide that your work is up to code for Google. So it's not easy to get those certifications, but we've been working really hard for the past years, and we got those implemented. We are now part of a larger company called Devoteam. So now our name is Nubalia, part of Devoteam, because we are in the process of merging Nubalia with Devoteam, which is a larger company. So we are now in a much better position to provide many more services to our clients. We have more than 200 Google professional certifications, which is a lot. It's a big number because we are a big company, and we provide those services with our professionals to all the companies we work with. Next slide, please, Laura. Okay. What we do in Nubalia is working with all the Google Cloud solutions. So we are experts in Google Cloud services. We provide services such as training, digital transformation, migration and deployment. Nick is going to talk more about that after me. But basically, if you're working with a different solution, a different technology, we provide you with consultancy services. We help you migrate all your data, all your email into the Google platform. We provide developments in case you want to develop something specific for your company. And also, we provide something called Nub Academy, which is specific tailored training for your company. We also work with third-party applications. We have some examples there, like Lumaps, Looker, and also we work with most of the main providers of hardware, like Acer, Lenovo, Asus, whatever suits your need, we can help with you and provide you with that technology for yourself. Next slide, please. Okay. This is part of what we do in Nubalia, but as I said, we are experts in Google Cloud solutions. So some of the examples, we can see them here in these pillars, like infrastructure modernization. So we work with fully Google Cloud. So we provide services like VM migration, training. We also work or help companies move their SAP infrastructure into Google Cloud. We also work with databases, database management, We help you manage your databases, provide hybrid solutions, fully cloud solutions in databases. If you need to analyze data, we also work with different tools, and we also work with the Google tools for big data and analyzing data, and also, for example, with Looker, which is a third-party app to analyze data. We also provide services for artificial intelligence, security, specific developments for your company, and also, of course, Google Workspace, which can help you develop your day-to-day work, your day-to-day business, and also training services such as change management, deployment, and migration, as I said before, and anything you may want to look into your company to develop your company even further. So in order to explain to you and talk to you more about Google Workspace and what you can do with that, I want to introduce my colleague, my friend, basically Nick from DigiCloud Africa, who is going to talk to you more about what Google Workspace is and what can you do with it. Nick.
Great. Thank you very much, Sergey. And thank you for introducing Nubalia. Laura, thank you for introducing the webinar as well. Just from DigiCloud, welcome to everyone joining the webinar. We hope you guys are gonna learn quite a bit. Laura, do you mind if I take over the screen share from here? And then I'm just gonna present my tab and start going through the same slide deck. Hopefully we'll be able to show you guys how easy things are in Google Workspace. It's kind of one of the core messages we want to give you guys. It's just how easy things can be. But just before I touch on that, let me just go one slide back to that workspace transformation. That is not a easy specialization to get for a partner like Nubalia. And basically what they've done is they've proven to Google that they've got not only the skills, but also the competency to deploy Google Workspace, to do the change management and the user training that goes along with that, to make sure that it gets embedded in the organization and people are using the new tools in a new way, instead of using the new tools in the same old way that keeps on causing the same old IT problems. So yeah, let's talk for a couple of minutes about what differentiates Google Workspace and why we believe it's just the future of collaboration, and why everyone in Africa should move over to it. Hopefully we get to all of your questions today. Please do interrupt myself or Sergey. We want to be able to answer as many questions as possible. I like to say I'm very interruptible. So if you unmute your mic, ask a question, we'll take that. Or as Laura said, just go ahead and type your questions in the chat. And then I feel as though the statistic on the slide has gotten worse over the years, not any better. 35% of office workers spends less than 15 minutes outside each day, especially since 2020. And another study showed that the workday is only getting longer as we're shifting to a more distributed way of working with a remote work from home environment we're currently in. And the reality is that many of the companies we talk to, they're still running legacy on-prem environments with legacy technology that just makes it very difficult to adjust to remote work. For example, having to increase your VPN licenses, 100-fold, so that everyone can start working from home and they can still access a on-prem branch file server. Another example would be Active Directory and group policies not taking effect with remotely connected laptops that's no longer plugged into the corporate network, or HR or your payroll system that's no longer accessible by your HR and your payroll department when they're working remotely, unless you set them up with RDP licenses. I think a lot of you have heard of those types of technical environments. It's always cumbersome to manage and to keep up to date, and also to keep secure. Not to mention the costs associated with all of these tools. So a lot of the companies we speak to as well, they've kind of scrambled to keep all of their teams connected, much less collaborating the way that we all used to when we were in the office together. And point solutions as quick fixes, as I've mentioned, they're just hard to manage, they're hard to keep secure, and they often come with additional costs. So we feel now is the right opportunity to rethink how we support our workforce and how we set them up in an environment where the business can just continue to operate and thrive, whether people are working in the office or working remotely. So imagine technology that really puts people at the center. Instead of distracting or adding roundabout steps to get something done, technology that anticipates our needs and augments our way of working just to maximize our time. And instead of rigid tools that only work in one specific way, imagine tools that are flexible and are easy to use. And again, they just put people at the center from a design perspective, and really the freedom to truly work from anywhere. That's where Google Workspace comes in. Google Workspace is designed to be, and it functions in a way that is truly helpful. Design elements that goes beyond just the interface. It's practical, it's thoughtful. The features often makes you go, wow, that was actually quite useful. The new features that gets rolled out. And for those of you who've seen the upgrades and the feature rollouts since the rebranding from, it used to be called G Suite, now it's called Google Workspace, you'll know the pace at which Google moves and just continually on a weekly basis rolls out new features into Google Workspace. And I like to think that where G Suite were individual standalone applications, you had email and you had calendar and you had chat, the new version is more of an integrated workspace. And hopefully we've got time to touch on those elements as well during the demo at the end of the slideshow. If you do choose to go with Google Workspace, you'll be an excellent company. There's over 2.6 billion users using Google Workspace every month. Even if you haven't used these apps before, you'll find that they're incredibly intuitive to use, and they're just helpful in a way that endures and scales as your business needs evolve. And then more than 6 million businesses have chosen Google Workspace as their partner in digital transformation. And we're really proud of the breadth and the depth of the organizations that run Google Workspace. Established market leaders like Roche Pharmaceuticals, Verizon, Airbus, digital natives like Spotify, Netflix, they've all scaled and innovated with Google. We found that some of these customers have had an easier time transitioning to a new remote work environment with what happened last year, because the employees were already communicating and collaborating together in the cloud in Google Workspace. So for them, transitioning to remote work was simply pick up your laptop, connect from home, and join video calls all online, all in the Chrome browser where it belongs. You've never really experienced collaboration until you've tried Google Sheets or Google Docs and you've just seen people type on the same document at the same time. It saves as you type, no need to manually save your work. If your laptop unexpectedly runs out of battery power, you're not losing any work that you've forgotten to save. It's so easy. Half of our kids are literally using it in the schools today. Google Workspace is also available for education. We like to say that Google is cloud native. It was born in the cloud for the cloud. It was never an offline tool that they've had to lift and shift into the cloud to make it work. And when it comes to offline, Gmail, Drive, Calendar, Docs, Sheets, they all have that offline functionality built into it. So that isn't a problem anymore. It basically uses the Chrome browser in the backend to cache this information. And then Google is arguably the best when it comes to their mobile apps. They had a strategy a few years back where it was mobile first. So they would focus first on the mobile experience of people working on their products and then on the browser experience. And you can really see it kind of shining through in how the product is just developed and evolved. Seamless experience when switching between devices, even between manufacturers like Android or Apple devices. When you're truly in the cloud, and that just forms the basis of everything, your cloud account. Now what you're doing is you're just connecting different devices to the same account. You can have 3 different mobile devices, 2 different laptops, a desktop at home, even a tablet if you really need it, just all connecting to your same Google account without limitations. And that's really the power of operating in the cloud. So let's jump into a video that will show you some of these features in action.
Okay, let's get started.
Can we make that orange?
Great, there we go.
Okay, what do you think, Steve? Steve?
Right, so that kind of showcases some of the features. We'll obviously be diving into a screen share and a demo at the end of the session that will show you some of these features in action as well. But hopefully that just kind of whet your appetite for what's to come in the demo. And then in Google Workspace, people are able to just move seamlessly and effortlessly between email, chat, video calls, collaboration. Everything you need is just thoughtfully connected to get the work done. Whether you're at home, whether you're in the office or in the classroom even, it's the best way to create, collaborate, and communicate with your colleagues. You have a set of familiar tools with fewer distractions and just more time to make things happen. And that's often a theme when it comes to Google Workspace, where you're talking about giving employees back some of their time instead of doing these laborious tasks manually that takes very long to accomplish. When you're working with a tool set that's easy, you're giving people back that time. And Google Workspace, it includes all of the productivity apps that you know and love. For those of you who have Gmail accounts, it's got Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Doc, Sheets, Slides, Google Meet, the video conferencing tool we're using right now, all together in one place and all in the browser, in the cloud, where these tools belong. As I've mentioned a few minutes ago, Google have brought together email, chat, and video calling in one application. And they've added what is referred to as Rooms, which is that third icon on the screen. And Google Rooms is one of their latest iterations. It's so that you can have all of your conversations, manage all of your projects, even do video calling and collaborating on documents within the Rooms application, which is an extension of Chat and Meet. So from within the same Gmail app on your iPhone or your Android phone, you can now switch between emails, chats, Rooms, and video calling. If you look at the bottom icons, you can see you've got those 4 icons there. So still the same Gmail application, you're just switching between them quite seamlessly. And the Gmail app, it also has authentication functionality built into it. So when you're signing into your Google account from a device that you've never signed in from before, you can have Google prompt you on your mobile phone, asking if this is you signing in or not. And if you're not tapping yes on your mobile phone, that other account or that other device where you're signing into is actually never going to authenticate and sign into the email. So it's just a very easy and convenient way of doing 2-step verification, all within the Gmail application. So with all of these channels combined into a unified experience right within Gmail, you can reach all of the people you need to, and you can work with them through whichever channel makes sense, whether it's chat, whether it's a quick video call, or whether it's a room where you're discussing a particular project and you've linked some documents. You can even assign tasks to the people in the room. So as an example, if we're going to have a project where we are going to put a webinar together for Nubalia, we would create a Google room for that. We would add the Nubalia people to it, the DigiCloud people to it, so you've got the right audience in the room. You would give the room the right name so that we know it's about the Nubalia webinar, and then you can assign action items and tasks to people. And when you can also assign a due date next to it, and when you tick off the action item, it alerts everyone in the room that something has been completed. You can link a document in the room and open up the Google Doc in the room itself and collaborate there without having to switch to another tab. And it just makes things very, very easy and seamless. With chat built right into your inbox, no need to switch to another third-party app to communicate one-on-one or as a team. No need for any local installations on laptops or desktops. All you need is the Chrome browser and literally any internet-connected device. Jumping straight into meetings. Now that more people are working remotely, it's super important to be able to quickly connect when you need to, without having to go through the process of setting up formal meetings and sending out calendar invitations. And Gmail just makes it incredibly fast and easy. We've all had that back and forth on the email where after the 13th reply, you're thinking to yourself, we should have just had like a 10-minute video call. And that's where Google Meet just makes it easy to jump into a meeting, have that quick back and forth discussion and move on from it. instead of spending days with the back and forth emails. Rooms, as we've mentioned, this is one of Google's latest features or newest additions in Google Workspace. The GIF image is still your inbox, by the way, the one that we're looking at. The user just switched from emails to rooms, and they're looking at the tasks right now that I alluded to a few minutes ago. And as you can see here, each room has the tabs at the top for chat, files, and tasks particular to that room, which would be a topic like a project you're working on, or a webinar you're putting together, or a sales engagement with a particular customer where you've got a lot of people in on that project. In chat, collaborators can discuss the project, assign tasks, share files. You can jump to tasks. You can see the action items assigned to yourself or to other people you're collaborating with in this particular Google room, all with due dates. And again, once a task is completed, it's easy to check it off, and then everyone in the group can see the update in real time in that in the Google room. And you can even integrate third-party applications with the Gmail app, like Salesforce and Zoho and Freshdesk. They've all integrated their third-party applications with Gmail. So as you are responding to an email on the Gmail app on either your Android phone or your iPhone, you can then integrate it with Salesforce and push the email in there. Or if you're using Slack, you can dump the email into a particular Slack channel as well, share it with your colleagues there. So it integrates quite beautifully with third-party tools as well. And there is a Google Marketplace or a Google Workspace Marketplace where all of these third-party developers publish their apps in, and you can see what's available to your users. And from an admin perspective, you can limit what they're allowed to use and what they're not allowed to use, which is also a very important security function. So let's talk for a second about what differentiates Google from its competitors. Because you might be wondering, how is this really different from the other products or services that you might already be using? And I'll boil it down to a few key points. First of all, it's simple. Google has always strived to make the technology simple and easy to use, yet secure. You can work from anywhere on any device, authenticated and encrypted end-to-end, no VPNs required. It's super helpful. Smart suggestions, recommending your next words while you're typing. If you're in a Google Sheet doing formulas, it will suggest formulas to you. It will suggest pivot tables to you based on the data set that you've highlighted. And it's scary how often Google gets it right with those suggestions. And that's where Google has baked in their AI and their machine learning into their productivity suite, regardless of whether it is Drive or Sheets or Docs or Gmail. They've got these same problem-solving technologies that they've just baked into the product everywhere. And lastly, it's flexible. Switch seamlessly between devices. It saves as you type. If you've lost your laptop or your cell phone, no worries. Nothing was stored on the device to begin with. So you get the next device, you fire up the Chrome browser, you sign in, and all your work is there. All your saved tabs, all your history, all your saved passwords is all in your Chrome browser. And you'd be surprised how light and agile IT operations can truly be in 2021 when you're really in the cloud. If I have a presentation linked to a document, I can simply hover over the link and I can see a preview of that presentation. If my account has been shared on the presentation, that is, I can scroll through and validate it without needing to open it up in a separate tab in my browser. I think we've all reached that stage where you've got a million tabs open in your browser and you don't know which tab to work on. You don't really feel like opening up yet another tab in your browser. And then for the techies in the room, you can connect Google BigQuery data directly to Google Sheets and analyze billions of rows of data without needing SQL, all in Google Sheets, all in the cloud where it belongs. Google's latest feature in beta is called Meet Picture-in-Picture. I really can't wait for that feature to release. I think that's going to be really exciting. And that's where you can actually see and hear the people you're working with while you're collaborating in Gmail or in Docs or Sheets. Because while we're in a video call, it's easy to look at all the participants. But when you're doing a screen share and you're switching over to a spreadsheet and you'd like to show everyone the spreadsheet and you don't have a second screen, you lose that ability to look at everyone who's talking. And you're also losing out on those non-verbal cues that comes from actually seeing someone's face, all the while talking through a problem and collaborating in real time. It really captures some of the magic of being in the same office together. And Google's Meet video conferencing solution includes things like closed captions, adaptive layout so you can actually see everyone on the same screen, screen sharing, tab sharing. I'm currently in a tab share at the moment, so you can only see the particular tab that I'm sharing. If I've got pop-up notifications with confidential information, it's not exposing that to people while you're in a video call or a webinar that's being recorded. You've also got breakout rooms. I'd like to show you guys that during the demo. That's really cool. You can take all 20 or 50 or 100 people in the video call, and you can say, I'd like to split them up into equal groups, into 5 different groups or into 10 different groups. And I'd like them to split out into those groups for 20 minutes. And when the timer ends, I want them to come back into the main room. Super helpful features. You also have Q&As, and you've got polls, all in the browser tab, in the cloud, again, just where it belongs. End-to-end encrypted video call meetings that no one has to host. So no one's laptop is working overtime to host the 2-hour meeting on a Friday evening. And all of this comes together in a single home for work that helps teams get work done. A simple, easy way to view and access all communications, all files, all projects on any device from anywhere. Helpful AI and machine learning built into the search technology that always helps you find what you're looking for. And again, flexible tools for fluid and fast collaboration when, where, and how you need it. So let's watch one last quick video, and then we'll move on to the security section. Happy birthday, Leela. Okay, so this is probably what most of us are concerned about, the security section of Google Workspace. So let's just dive right into it. We often get a lot of requests to do security audits for existing Workspace customers, or when people are starting the Workspace discussion, they want to know all about the security angle. Is it secure? Where's the data hosted? And all of those sorts of questions. So just starting with the basics, world-class spam filtering, and it's because Google leverages the same technology in your Gmail inbox, where you've got billions of people using Gmail, and every time they click the report spam or the report phishing button, it's alerting Google of a particular email that perhaps shouldn't have been in your inbox. So constant learning of the AI and the machine learning algorithms to just better classify spam and phishing emails. You also have world-class two-step verification, and in today's world, we don't see that as optional anymore. We see that as a must. Every organization must employ two-step verification. The age of the password is coming to an end. Computers can very easily, not very easily, but computers can brute force most passwords, and it's just not secure enough anymore. And with that two-step verification layer, IT administrators can sleep sound knowing that even if the users do fall for a phishing attack, they've got that second layer just stopping that attack from actually authenticating against their account. You can use anything from smartphone authenticator apps to the authentication built into Gmail, SMS. A robot will phone you and read out a two-step verification code, or you can use a USB security key, which is a physical two-step verification method. Funny enough, Google themselves actually uses only the USB security key. I actually have one here, if you guys can see it, if the camera doesn't get rid of the image. So this is a little USB security key, and it's got a little click button on it. So if I sign into an account I've never signed in from before, I just insert the USB security key, tap down on the button, and that's my method of two-step verification. Google themselves internally have seen successful phishing attacks drop to 0 when implementing the USB security keys. So it's their only form of two-step verification internally. And then also within G Suite, you've got robust mobile device management built in that suits almost any company's needs. And it's gone beyond just managing cell phones. You can manage your users' Chrome browsers and their settings. You can even manage Windows devices, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. So talking about the admin console, everything you need in one place, and absolutely everything is managed from this particular admin console, whether it is user creation and migrations, security settings, managing your mobile devices, managing your Chrome endpoints, managing your Windows 10 devices. You can manage everything from this admin panel, and you don't need Active Directory and SCCM to manage your Windows 10 devices, which is an enterprise feature. You can also use the investigation tool to investigate security threats and take action against them, setting up your DLP rules. And DLP is another one that we often get, especially towards the end of last year and this year. Everyone is reaching out about data leakage protection, and we'll show you guys that in the demo as well. And that just helps you avoid either malicious or accidental leaking of sensitive information to the outside world. And then the Google Workspace Security Center, it offers all of that reporting functionality that everyone wants to see. And you can set up custom alerts for specific incidents, such as compromised devices or a user being granted super admin privileges on your domain. You can see how many files are being shared from your domain. You can see how many of these files are shared publicly versus only accessible internally. You can also do a search for show me all of the files that has recently changed from a only internally visible to externally shared, to kind of remediate any types of security threats that you might be facing. You can also see how your users are using Google Meet video calling, and you can troubleshoot bad connectivity issues for your users. It shows you the connection they had, the jitter on the line, the network statistics, which type of device they joined from, all of those types of tools that just helps you troubleshoot video calling issues. And then, as I've mentioned, enterprise feature on Google Workspace, you can manage your Windows 10 Pro devices. You can enforce Windows policies, even custom Windows policies. You can sync your Active Directory password with Google, or you can sync your Google password with Active Directory. And important to note that this works even if your users aren't logged into your corporate network. So for those users on Windows laptops connecting remotely via their own Wi-Fi at home, often your Active Directory GPO policies and your SCCM, your Software Center Configuration Manager, is how you remote install software on Windows laptops. That only works when you're plugged into the corporate network with a network cable. So with this type of solution, you can now start managing your Windows devices on Workspace Enterprise without needing all of that. And it works when your users are working remotely. That's the magic about this. And that's probably been one of the biggest challenges in 2020 for legacy environments, is how do you keep your users secure if you're essentially no longer managing the devices that they work on because they're all working from home and your current configuration does not account for that. And again, no VPNs required. Mobile device management, it doesn't only give you the ability of managing all your devices, it also gives you the ability to report on all of the devices that you're managing. It also gives you the capability to publish apps from the Google Play Store to your users' devices, either publicly listed apps or even privately hosted applications. Android for Work gives you the ability to create a separate work container on the user's personal device so that you only manage the work side of things and you leave the personal side of the device untouched. When you need to remove the account from the device or you need to wipe the device, it then wipes the work container of the device, again, leaving the personal stuff intact. And then if you have company-owned devices that you need to manage more comprehensively, so devices that the company owns and hands out to the users, the same admin panel in Google Workspace allows you to manage all of those devices. And it's not just for Android company-owned devices, but also for iOS company-owned devices, so your iPhones and your iPads, for those companies that do have those. With company-owned device management, you can start switching off system applications and really take control of the device. So switch off SMS functionality, not allowing hotspotting of the device, wipe the device after 10 failed login attempts, uninstall Facebook, uninstall WhatsApp, those kinds of features. And then we should also just mention, when it comes to your data that you bring to Google Workspace, you own your data in Google Workspace, not Google. Google never sells the data to third parties. Google only processes the data on your behalf based on what actions you take. And then Google not only protects the Google Workspace customers, but Google also protects everyone using the Chrome browser and the internet in general. A few useful statistics: Google scans 1 billion web pages every day for malicious content. As I've mentioned before, all data is encrypted in transit and at rest, and Google blocks 10 million spam emails every minute. And this goes without saying, but Google Workspace benefits from the same security posture that Google themselves run on. Google started in the cloud, it runs natively in the cloud, so they fully understand the security implications of powering your business in the cloud. Because Google and Google Workspace services run on the same infrastructure, your organization will benefit from the same protections Google have built and use every day. Google's robust global infrastructure, along with dedicated security professionals, and Google's drive to innovate, enables Google to stay ahead of the curve and offer a highly secure, highly reliable, and compliant environment that's easy to manage. And at the end of the session, we'll actually share the slide deck with you guys as well. And I've got a link on this particular slide that will point you to Google's cloud compliance resources, separated into the different regions across the globe, and what they've done to be compliant in every different region, whether it is POPI compliance in South Africa or whether it is GDR compliance in Europe. And there are many, many more published documents from Google just proving how they are compliant or how their system is compliant. At the end of the day, it is in the way the customer uses the platform that makes them compliant with their local regulation. And then the average employee reports feeling overworked, overwhelmed, and most technology just exacerbates this problem. It gets in the way, it drives silos between people and teams and information, and people end up wasting valuable time managing the tools they use instead of on high-value human work. In fact, 20% of employees' time is spent looking for information. That's like hiring 5 people and one of them not showing up for work. So people are your most important asset, and if they're burnt out, your business and your customers are going to suffer. To be resilient and succeed, you need to make sure that your people are getting the tools that they need and not burnt out, and give them tools that enable them and excites them. That's at the end of the day what you're trying to do with your employees. So let's take a minute to look at the available SKUs and the purchase offers from Google Workspace. So largely they're divided up into 2 different SKU families. For the SMBs, you've got the business SKU families, of which there's Starter, Standard, and Plus. And then for enterprise, we're going to ignore Enterprise Essentials for today and focus more on Standard and Enterprise Plus. Enterprise Essentials does not include email and calendar. And you can say that's weird, and it is a little bit, but it's meant for the customers who are happy and own their email and calendar solution. And what they're looking for is they're looking for Google Drive, Google Meet, and a cloud collaboration solution. That's what Enterprise Essentials is meant for. So yeah, if we just take it back to Business Starter, these are all list pricing. If you as a customer get in touch with Nubalia, they have access to distribution pricing in Africa through Google. So it's not the list pricing that you'll get from Nubalia, but just please feel free to reach out to Sergey and start that conversation with them. So just going to move on so we can just see some highlights or some differences between the business SKU families. You've got Business Starter, and I like to say Business Starter is the easiest way for a startup to get email, calendar, and Drive and just start out. It doesn't have Google Vault. That is your legal and compliance e-discovery platform. Google Vault stores a copy of all sent and received emails in your domain, and also all Drive documents, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. So I like to say, if you're a 2-man startup company and you have a great idea and you want to start sending emails tomorrow, Business Starter would suffice your needs. If you're a actual company and you've grown beyond a startup size, then you should probably consider Business Standard or Business Plus. And the main difference between Business Standard and Business Plus includes Google Vault, which is what makes you compliant in many areas. That is your e-discovery and legal platform that stores a copy of all sent and received emails, regardless of whether a user deletes it in their mailbox and clears their trash. A copy of that email is still in Google Vault. Normally, only people like your security and compliance officer and your legal officer has got access to Google Vault because it does expose all of the content. There's a full audit log, so any actions taken in Vault is auditable and exposed to the rest of the super administrators as well. What Business Standard and Business Plus gives you above Business Starter is it gives you shared drives. And that is how a company will get off of branch servers, is with shared drives. Where your Google Drive belongs to a user, shared drives belongs to a company. And any information placed in a shared drive is owned by the company, and users are attached and detached to shared drives. So if your user leaves the organization, you can delete his account and everything that contributed to shared drives is still there. It doesn't need to be transferred. And then just looking at the breakdown of the various storage, Starter starts on 30 gigabytes per user, and then Standard and Plus has got pooled storage across the organization. So how you should read that, if you are 10 users on Business Standard, you will have 2 terabytes per user pooled across the organization. So as a total, you have 20 terabytes of storage for all of your users. Similarly, on Business Plus, 5 terabytes per user pooled across the organization. If you have 50 users, 5 terabytes per user, that gives you 250. Is that right? Yeah, 250 terabytes of storage for your 50 users. So it's an insane amount of storage. We don't see anyone running out of that. And then obviously the increase in how many users you can have on any one Google Meet, up to 250 users on Business Plus. Useful for your large organizations who like to have company-wide meetings. We've had feedback from people where they're having meetings with 200 or 250 people, and prior to 2020, they all tried to get together in some large room where they could all be part of the same meeting. But it's really just feedback from management to all the employees. And since they've moved into a virtual environment, doing these meetings on Google Meet, that's now getting recorded and uploaded to Google Drive. People are saying they're actually finding a lot more value in these company-wide meetings, because 200 people in one room, the people at the back can't always hear what is being said. There's a lot of distractions next to you, people having their own side conversations, and that's actually something that's improved in quality moving into a virtual space. And much like this webinar is being recorded and uploaded to Google Drive, the same can happen with those types of company-wide meetings. And just a quick note on the Google Drive recording functionality. The recording doesn't happen locally on my device, and afterwards I have to upload a 1 gig file to Google Drive. Much like the meeting happens on the Google servers, the recording is also happening on the Google servers, and it's simply added to your Google Drive account afterwards. So super easy and seamless. Even if the person who initiated the recording drops off due to connectivity, the recording is still happening, the webinar is still continuing, nothing is getting interrupted. And that, again, it's the power of truly being in the cloud, is you can work in uninterrupted way like that. And then focusing on the enterprise SKU families. Again, I'm going to ignore Enterprise Essentials and just focus on Enterprise Standard and Enterprise Plus. For Enterprise, they've introduced the Standard and the Plus SKU, and one of the main differences is you can start to choose your data residency. So whether your data is stored in a US data center, or whether your data is stored in a GDPR compliant data center. And you also have got access to something called App Sheets, which is one of Google's exciting new tools they've incorporated into Workspace. They say it's low code, but it's more like a no code environment. If you can do spreadsheet formulas, you can design application in App Sheets. And that's what's included in Enterprise Plus. Each one of your users gets an App Sheet license, and that gives you the tools to build these internal workflows in a no-code environment that just automates laborious tasks and makes your people a lot more productive. And you do get unlimited storage with Enterprise, so there shouldn't be any problem with how much storage your users are consuming. You have all of the features in Workspace, all of the Windows device management features, all of the mobile device management features, and all of the security features. DLP, the security investigation tool, and we'll show you guys that as well. The security investigation tool is actually quite cool. You can look for particular content, you can take action based on it. So as an example, if someone reports a phishing email, as a super administrator, I will get an alert. I can click into the investigation tool. I can find that email. I can read through the full email header. I can even read through the content of the email, and then I can take action based on that. I can remove it from all my users' mailboxes, etc. So we'll show you guys that in the demo as well. And then this slide just highlights again the comparison between Enterprise Standard and Enterprise Plus, and it shows the dimension of storage, meetings, enhanced support features that you get, and additional functionality. But I think we've largely covered most of that. Again, the prices you're seeing is list prices. So please reach out to Nubalia if you have a particular opportunity you'd like to discuss with them and see what pricing they can make available to you guys. So that is the end of the presentation. So let me go ahead and stop my screen share, and now